Aquarius, welcome to your monthly sidereal forecast for September of 2015. My name is Athen. So a very powerful month. We've got those eclipses taking place, solar eclipse and total lunar eclipse, along with a lot of slow-moving transits going on involving your ruler Saturn and some retrogrades and directs. So there's a lot going on. Do check your weekly for more specific information on this. If you're new to this channel, be sure to check the description because this is very different from mainstream astrology. Your sign might be different, so you'll want to watch the appropriate video for that. So Aquarius, let's go ahead and look at it right at the beginning of the month. We've got a conjunction between Venus and Mars right here on the cusp between your 6th and your 7th house. There's already been a lot of activity in your 7th house, but I think you're going to be quite motivated to put more energy into that, whatever that might be for you, whether it's connecting with people, friends, relationships, new relationships, existing ones, etc. So with that being said, maybe even business dealings for those of you in business and things like that. Legal matters is also a possibility. But this conjunction is very passionate. This is the classic yin-yang combination, masculine, feminine merging together. And that alone is a strong motivational force, especially for Mars. I think a lot of the stuff that maybe you've been reflecting on or redoing with home and family, maybe reflecting on in terms of your philosophy and life path and travel and things like that with Venus retrograde. By the way, that stuff will start to move forward here around the 5th and 6th. I think you'll be quite motivated to do those things as well, but continue to treat it as that sort of learning process. This early part, reflect on it, redo it, and all of that should be creating this new sense of motivation in some regards for you to get more involved with relationships, whatever that might be. I think you can enjoy the career stuff, and I think you can enjoy communications quite a bit this early part as well. Now, from the first, on the first, we've got the Sun opposite up to Neptune in that 7th house of yours. So this goes back to this Neptune in your 1st house, which has been you guys going with the flow, just generally speaking. Neptune in the 1st house is where, like I've been saying, there's no real clear sense of, okay, this is who you are, this is where you're going, this is your life and things like that. Neptune is about spiritualizing that, understanding that there is no certainty about it, and through that, there is that faith and trust which comes as a result. So that's going to be a strong emphasis this month with the fast-moving planets opposing up to it, namely actually just the Sun and Jupiter this month. But it's all involving these relationships. So what I recommend is while there is a lot of emphasis on others, to remember to have that faith and trust, and even how things are going in that 7th house, to not be able to have it all figured out, right? And to have that Neptunian approach to it, because naturally through that you'll find a good balance between these two areas. Now on the 5th and 6th, like I said, Venus is going to go station direct, and so a lot of those things relating to home, family, and your philosophy or travel and life path, which have been on a sort of pause for the past couple months, give or take, will start to move forward. Now it's going to be slow and steady as those energies move forward, since Venus still has to get out of her shadow. But those things will start to gain momentum as the month approaches or unfolds. Now Venus will be in your 7th house, so this is actually very nice for relationships. Like I said, I think you're going to be very motivated, but I think you can enjoy quite a bit these one-on-one connections. So why not? Again, new and existing, maybe business-related things, exchanges, etc., is where a lot of these shifts are happening for you, and a lot of it, like I said, can be quite enjoyable. Now, 7th, 8th, and 9th, Mars does trine up to Uranus, so more supportive energy coming into the 7th house for you. Now, it's coming from the 2nd house, which is about your sense of self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, and this is where you're going to have the lunar eclipse at the end of the month, by the way. But up until that point, Uranus trining this can be, again, very exciting for relationships, very exciting for anything relating to the 7th house, but it'll be because you found this newfound sense of self-esteem, your ability to manifest and create things in your life that you want and you pursue. And this might be on a material level for some of you. Maybe finances and things like that can be supportive this month also. But there's a lot of old concepts, a lot of old things that are being released still with the South Node here. So my best recommendation is to have those connections, and then also ask yourself too how you can have more freedom in the material security aspect of your life. Now this might mean through more finances, more money coming in, which would then allow you to have more freedom in your life, or it could be understanding that money isn't the end-all be-all of freedom, and that sometimes we can be enslaved to it. So things like that, those kinds of questions. It is retrograde, that energy, Uranus, so think about that. But in either case, Very supportive this month, involving both your second house and your seventh house, at least around this eighth early part of the month. Now, from the 11th through the 17th, we got a few aspects that are important. One is that Mercury is going to be sextiling up to Venus. So I think with this shift from your relationships, there's been this ongoing theme over the past 2 years for you to understand more about the truth of life and to have more of that openness and transformation within self, to expose the self, for yourself and to see, what's going on that internal level. But at the same time, maybe sharing this with others, sharing your true vulnerable self with others, and also the truth of what's going on in the world. That's all eighth house stuff. So the North Node has been there. So continuing with that will be your life path this month, as it has been. But I think you've been thinking more about this lately since the tail end of this month, maybe communicating more about these matters. And I think you can continue to enjoy it. A sextile from Venus is certainly enjoyable and facilitating more of those eighth house matters for you. Now, Jupiter does oppose up to Neptune around the same time period, the 13th through the 21st. So again, just like with that sun energy, balancing self with other. I think there's a lot of focus on others, but remember the importance of having that peaceful, that alone time, that spiritual time, that rest and relaxation that is so important for you Aquarians right now and for many years with Neptune here. But that's what will facilitate more new beginnings for you. It'll be through that approach, that more spiritual approach, that you'll see more people coming into your life, existing relationships becoming embedded, and things like that with Jupiter. Now, the solar eclipse is on the 13th, so that is going to be new beginnings involving new relationships. And this can be existing relationships where it takes on a new approach, a new beginning there for some of you. This can be marriage for some of you, things of that nature. But it can be maybe a new business, new type of legal situation for some of you, maybe involved with that. But even a new relationship out of nowhere. So it just depends on what that is. And the most important thing is around the 13th is to be receptive to it, because it is that new moon energy of going within. It's more introverted, thinking about it, mulling it over, so that as the month unfolds, you'll be able to put more energy into this part. I mean, you're already going to be putting a lot of energy into it, but in terms of your intentions and your attention that you're giving these new beginnings. And remember, this is a solar eclipse, so what's going to culminate is going to be at the beginning of next year when we have the next set of eclipses in 6 months. So throughout the coming months, continuing to get involved with your one-on-one connections will be a great way to work with this. So big shifts, big changes, as it usually is with eclipse energy. That's all in your 7th house. Now on the 17th, we've got Mercury going retrograde in that 8th. So maybe it's time to reflect on these truths, whatever it is for you there. Perhaps reflecting on how you can have those deeper connections, how you can remove yourself from unhealthy bonds, unhealthy sort of situations that make you feel enslaved or entranced in some way, which is the 8th. But reflect on that and continue to reflect on your self-expression, since Mercury does also rule your 5th house of self-expression as well. And that's going to take you into October. And do spend a little bit of extra time, redoing the way that you are getting deeper and more involved with your relationships. Now, 17th, at that same time, the sun does go into your 8th, so I think you're going to be more intent on and more focused on those deeper aspects as the month starts to unfold. And again, this is where there's going to be more new beginnings for you in the coming months, is that 8th house. Now, Saturn does sextile up to the North Node, so your ruler here, very significant. For any type of hard work and discipline you've been putting into your life path or your philosophy, spiritual studies, things like this, continue with that this month. You'll find that very supportive, because the sextile up to the North Node, which is these changes that are happening for you, it'll be through that discipline, it'll be through that hard work that you do put into making sure you do understand, what's going on in your life path, or with philosophy, or with the higher realms, higher connections, things like that, connecting to people abroad, sharing philosophies with others, whatever that is. You'll find that very supportive. So I really recommend it, as it has been the case with Saturn here. But that's going to take you into October, is a lot of this life path energy. Now, the 23rd through the 27th has a few aspects going on. One is that the sun does conjoin up to the North Node, so more new beginnings involving that 8th house, deeper connections in life. The 24th through the 27th has Mars squaring up to Saturn. So we're all going to be having a sort of test to our perseverance this month. Mars squaring Saturn is like 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing. And it's involving, again, that 7th house for you. So be patient here. Try not to be too assertive with your ideas and things like that too with Mars sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. And this isn't usually the case for you Aquarians, since Mars isn't a good sign here in Leo. But there can be sometimes too much assertive, too much direct energy with the one-on-one connection. So patience there. Take it slow this later part of the month, around the 20th to the end of the month. And what you'll find is that you can actually continue, and there can be a lot of things that you are pursuing and learning, and maybe it's with your career too. Take your career stuff slowly, take the communications nice and slowly, and then through that you can actually find that you are saying quite a bit, you're learning quite a bit, and generally speaking, there's a lot of healthy energy coming in through the relationship when you do have that patient attitude about things. Now, that's going to be the 24th, 27th, and around the 24th, 25th, that same time period, Pluto does go station direct in that 11th house of yours. So, this power that you guys are stepping into in terms of whatever organizations you're a part of or with your friends and things like that, what you've learned over the past 6 months about stepping into your power when appropriate in these sort of situations will start to move forward for you, so you can start to implement it. There might be a shift, a new understanding about those 11th house things around this later part of the month. But this is mostly going into October as Pluto starts to gain momentum and gets out of his shadow period of now stepping into that role where you're stepping into the power to make change in those organizations, in the communities, in things that are larger than self, which is Pluto asking you to really step into that power and make change in that part of your life. And that's been an ongoing theme for many, many years. So that's it with the slow-moving planets. Then, of course, we do have that lunar eclipse taking place in that 2nd house. So culmination point now from over the past 6 months since May of this year. That's when you had the solar eclipse, the new moon energy of that second, now culminating in this lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse, full moon energy. So think back to that May time period, what new came to you about the material side of life, what new came to you about self-esteem, about that sense of confidence of your ability to achieve and make your own way in the world. And for those of you who have been putting in the energy, and I don't mean it very, outwardly, it could be an internal type of energy that you've been putting into it. It can be a culmination point of that, a high point of that, and also a lot of energy for you to utilize in this area of your life this 2nd half of the month. But it's a very spiritual full moon. It's happening in Pisces, the lunar eclipse, I mean. And so it's more of perhaps that internal nature. And for you Aquarians, with Pisces ruling your 2nd house, it's very important for you to have that non-attached perspective when it comes to what you receive back on a material level. It's really through giving and contributing and things like that that you naturally receive more. So some things to consider with that, but it's internalized, feeling it, listening to your intuition around this time, but maybe even putting in energy so that you can have more of a material security in your life this 2nd half of the month. So that's it. And then a conjunction between the Sun and Mercury in that 8th house, closing off the month on the 30th, suggesting more new ideas and insights about these deeper aspects of self. So a lot of things shaping up, mostly the 7th house, 8th house, and 2nd house for you Aquarians. So if you guys have any questions, please do let me know. If you'd like a personal reading, click the link down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.